We are here with actor Sam Bass. You've seen Sam on Hawaii Five-0, Magnum PI, NCIS Hawaii. Sam is an award-winning 50-plus bodybuilder. And what we're going to be talking to my buddy Sam about today is his career as a prison guard in a state prison in Alaska. What's the worst thing you ever saw in your entire career?
The worst thing? Well, the definition of worst is different. Like amazing, like holy, I don't believe I didn't know whether to be horrified or impressed. So, yeah. Well, there's two. Remind me of the second one, but the first one, I'm in the unit that is for the mental health, right? So we got a guy who is on a suicide watch. I forget his name. And, he was in his cell. And now when you're on a suicide watch, you do not have any clothing other than a smock over you. And you have a mattress that is a rubberized mattress because you can't leave anything in there that they can kill themselves with. So what happened was those guys don't like wearing the smock. So they walk around stark ass naked. And you have this giant window and you can see everything. And the bed is like right in front of it. And I'm like, all right, and they talk to you and they're like, their dingling is hanging out and they're just talking to you like we're talking right now, it's totally naked. And it was like, okay, I mean, that was a little bit to get used to, but whatever. So I'm watching this dude and he's doing exercising. And I would always have guys talk to me, hey,
naked. He's exercising naked.
He's exercising. Oh yeah, naked. Yeah, everything's naked. And then so he's starting to do yoga and I'm like, holy shit. He's doing yoga. He's doing like the warrior pose where you go here, you bring your arm up and then he gets on his bed and he flips his legs above his head. So his asshole is facing me. And then he turns around to the side and starts sucking himself off. And I was just like, I looked at the nurse that was sitting next to me. I was like, you seeing this? And she just was like, and I was just like, man. And then at that moment, I was just like, I didn't know whether to be mortified or impressed. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there was another guy in the suicide cell, which means he did something to, he said the magic words. The magic words I feel like hurting myself. So this guy, the reason why he got on suicide watch is he wanted to hurt himself and he shoved his hand up his ass all the way to his elbow. We had a guy called him Picasso. It's all he would have in his cell. He'd shit in his hand and he'd smear it all on the walls and on the window. And there's mental reasons for that. It is so weird in there. It's a world within a world. You're like, when you're in there as an officer, it's like, holy shit, this world exists. And these people walk amongst me and my world outside. And it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. I was 100% by the book. And that's where one of the biggest challenges is that inner turmoil of what you want to do and what you can't do and what you won't do. Because, I mean, there's a lot of ramifications to your actions. And as you get older, of course, we understand that. And I got some stories where I met a lot of people that made the decision that I chose not to do while I was in there. And it floored me, because I was literally looking in a mirror of where my other decision would have been. One guy, South African accent, cool dude. I'm walking by a cell and I hear him talking. I say, hey man, where's the accent from? South Africa. So I'm interested. I'm listening to him. I'm learning about him and whatever. And I was like, this guy's a pretty fucking cool dude. And then I go sit later on. I go into the sergeant's office during my break and they're like, oh man, did you see that piece of shit, dude? And I was like, what? He's the guy that's in your cell. I was like, what are you talking about? And they're talking about that South African dude. And I was just like, okay. He's like, he's a serial killer. And I was just like, what? So yeah, he's a serial killer. He's one of the, I'll leave it nameless, but I mean, he's a well-known one. And I said it to him, and this is the first time I felt betrayed. I had him cuffed in the back and we got to walk down the stairs. And it's just like, he's starting to walk down the stairs without me. I was like, whoa, dude, you can't go down the stairs without me. If you're cuffed, I got to have my hand on you. Because if you go, you're going to die, and you're not going to die on my watch. Is what I told him. Hey, man, you're not going to die on my watch, buddy. I got you.
Why would that happen?
If he fell down those stairs, he'd die. He was handcuffed in his back.
Gotcha.
He'd take a header down this thing. So you got to have your hand on him, because it's like I said, it's our job to protect him. And in that moment, it was just like, I should have fucking kicked you off these stairs. He was a child molester, rapist, murderer. He's just a horrible fucking person. And then I vested part of my personal time to talk to this dude, and I treated him like a human. It's just like, dude, you're a fucking piece of shit, And it's just like, that was that first time that I felt betrayed. And it's just like, man, I don't like feeling this way towards people. One guy, South African accent, cool dude. I'm walking by a cell and I hear him talking. I say, hey man, where's the accent from? South Africa. So I'm interested. I'm listening to him. I'm learning about him and whatever. And I was like, this guy's a pretty fucking cool dude. And then I go sit later on. I go into the sergeant's office during my break, and they're like, oh man, did you see that piece of shit, dude? And I was like, what? He's the guy that's in your cell. I was like, what are you talking about? And they're talking about that South African dude. And I was just like, okay. He's like, he's a serial killer. And I was just like, what? So yeah, he's a serial killer. He's one of the. I'll leave it nameless, but I mean, he's a well-known one. And I said it to him, and this is the first time I felt betrayed. I had him cuffed in the back, and we got to walk down the stairs. And it's just like, he's starting to walk down the stairs without me. I was like, whoa, dude, you can't go down the stairs without me. If you're cuffed, I got to have my hand on you. Because if you go, you're going to die, and you're not going to die on my watch. Is what I told him. Hey, man, you're not going to die on my watch, buddy. I got you.
Why would that happen?
If he fell down those stairs, he'd die. He was handcuffed in his back.
Gotcha.
He'd take a header down this thing. So you got to have your hand on him, because it's like I said, it's our job to protect him. And in that moment, it was just like, I should have fucking kicked you off these stairs. He was a child molester, rapist, murderer. He's just a horrible fucking person. And then I vested part of my personal time to talk to this dude, and I treated him like a human. It's just like, dude, you're a fucking piece of shit.
Okay, how often would you see, let's just say, a guy like that, a monster like that, and then you see some, let's just say, a lawyer that got a DUI, or somebody who really is, you can't believe that this guy, this regular guy who just messed up, is in with these monsters, and his life is destroyed.
Every day. Every day.
Really?
That's the cross-section that's there. And then you have to try to be firm, fair, and consistent. Yeah, you saw that with young kids. The younger ones, they get in, and they get jumped. They want to fit in, so they go and they start dealing with a gang. Well, guess what? The gangs are on the outside. It doesn't there aren't just prison gangs. I mean, there are prison gangs in prison and prison gangs, but eventually some people get out, and the people that they get out, that's the ones that run the industry and the money, and that's the whole thing. So yeah, once you're jumped into that kind of shit, man, it's horrible. And as a kid, the only way they know how to survive in there, some of them they just do horrible shit.
Like what?
Whatever they're told to do. Fight people. Somebody gets told to go beat somebody up. Somebody gets told to go kill somebody. Yeah. It's prison politics. There's a whole genre of prison politics, and it changes hands from ones to the other. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows who runs the prison is the inmates. The inmates run the prison, but I don't know. I don't agree with that too much. I don't like it, but it's not a good place. But basically, are they going to go out and then come back in? Basically, they come back in. I think there's like a 80% rate of the people that get out, they end up coming back in.
Sam, let me ask you a question. Straight up.
What?
Is it at all possible? Let's just say once a white guy goes into prison, is it ever possible for him not to fight and not to get banged up the wazoo? I mean, or are you going to have to get, if a white guy goes to prison, chances are he's going to have to get his hands dirty in one way or another? I mean, is there any way you could just live your happy life and not get messed with, or
Yes.
do they have to?
You can. You can. And that is called PC, protective custody. So when you come in, you'll be like, hey, I'm afraid for my life. I need to go into protective custody. And then you do. You go into protective custody. You go into a cell, and you're segregated from everybody. So basically, you're putting yourself in the hole, if you will.
Right, but let's say you go in for 10 years, you're going to have to go into the yard at one point. You're going to have to go into the commissary.
No. Some people just spend their whole time segregated and away from everybody.
In a birdcage.
Yeah, in Alaska, the place that I was in, I'll just leave it nameless. It had like a glass. It had the door and it had a glass and then another pane of glass below it. And the glass was like 3 feet wide. I mean, you couldn't hide in your cell. I mean, you could see in there. And that was one of the things that we had to do is we had to do checks on all these people every half an hour in the segregation unit. You'd have to check on them just to make sure they're alive and not dead.
How do they shower?
Those guys in PC mods, this particular mod that I did, they would shower. You would bring a section out at a time. So I would get out like 5 cells at a time. They would have opportunity to shower and use the phone.
So straight up, is it possible, God forbid, and you shouldn't even ever be in that position to begin with, but let's just say a white guy goes to prison, okay? And I say white guy because they have more targets on their back. You know, they're a minority, I would assume, right? Is it possible? Is it possible to guarantee that you're not going to get stooped up the wazoo ever, or get hit, or get what they force you to, you know, like give you them money or be their slave? Yeah.
No, it's not possible to guarantee that. No way, no how. Because eventually, if a person has, you know, a hit on them, quote unquote. There's ways. These guys are freaking smart. They're the smartest, stupid people I've ever met. And they'll find a way. They'll get themselves in trouble. And then they'll get themselves, or they'll PC up. And they'll get into that same mod with the person. And then, yeah. I mean, there's always a way for somebody to get somebody. But there is a way that you can, you know, lessen your chances and hide yourself.
Have you ever seen anybody just live completely scot-free, like somebody who ordinarily would just be a target, like that?
No, it's not possible. And the reason why it's not possible is because if a person is scot-free, that means they're not paying any dues. There was stuff that I found, like people would, like one person wants to move. They want to move from one cell to the other. That raises suspicion in my mind. Why do they want to do that? Or when another guy comes up to me and says, hey, this guy wants to move cell to here, I was like, go fuck yourself. And I'd talk to him like that. I don't care. But I say, no, go fuck yourself. They're like, well, fuck, Bash. You can't talk to us like that. I can't. I was like, get out of my face. You know, and it's just like, boom, because I know they're giving me bullshit. They're moving this person over to another person. The reason why I knew that is one time I allowed that to happen, and then I moved a guy out. Or no, I didn't allow him to move. And then at the next shift, the guy that I didn't allow move was in there. And I was like, dude, what's up? How did you get in here? And he's like, oh man, you don't know how much it cost me to be in here. And I was just like, oh, okay. And then that just, you know, I didn't dive into that and just dwell on it. I just was like, okay, motherfuckers, you are making me the officer that I'm going to be. You know what? It's not a big deal. And people like, Bess, it's not a big deal to do this. And my answer to them is, you're right. It's not a big deal. Get the fuck out of here. You know, go away.
How everyday common is prison uh, forced physical relations. And I'm saying it like that because I don't want to get terms of service.
Forced
A prison
physical relations.
raping.
Oh,
Yeah.
we say PREA, the Prison Rape Enforcement Act. So PREA is
Right. We can't use the R word.
Oh, so we'll just say PREA. I was up on PREA charges once.
Right. So how common is it? Like every day you go to work, you check in, you punch in, and how often is that a reality?
I think it's always there. I think it's always happening. I don't think we see it. I think it's hidden. And you got to realize that there's a code of conduct in there that the inmates have. You see something happening, you turn your cheek. You don't watch it. And you don't say anything. And it's really weird. There's this anomaly that is in a prison system that they're going to lie to you straight to your face. They're going to, they fucking kill your wife, kill your mom, rape your daughter. But there's no way that they're going to snitch on somebody. No way they're going to snitch. So there's no way I'm a snitch. So it's just that thing. Say they don't tell.
How common every day are people getting beat up?
It depends where you're at. So I worked in a maximum facility for a while.
A maximum security state prison.
Yes. But I also worked at the jail, which was much worse.
Hold on. The jail is much worse than the prison? I would think it would be the other way around.
Well, no, you got to think about it. The inmates at the jail, most of them don't know how to do time. The people that realize that this place is their house, they don't want to mess it up.
Why is that?
Well, because if a fight happens, they're locked down for a good 24 to 48 hours.
So
and it's locked down, meaning all the people that were in general population, they're not. They're now all segregated, basically. They're in their cells. They're fed in their cells. They can't get out.
Who cares?
Well, when you're given freedoms, the little freedoms that you have are all taken away. So, and at a maximum facility, you don't do that to everybody, because if you do that to everybody, then your number's up. You're going to get the crap kicked out of you.
What you're telling me is if one goes to prison, there's really no way to avoid violence and no way to avoid ugliness. There's no way just to walk the straight and narrow and just never get your hands dirty and never have to deal with fighting or blackmail, or not blackmail, or extortion or anything.
It's human nature. There's no way around it. There always is going to be a pecking order. There's always going to be some sort of hierarchy. And in there,
how real is our sexual favors between guards and inmates, male or female?
Dude, they're absolutely real. Absolutely. 2 people I went to the academy with, both females, both ended up, doing things with an inmate. I don't know exactly what, but they were given the opportunity to resign, and they did.
They were caught with their pants down, basically.
I think so.
But don't you actually go to prison if that happens?
Yeah, you do. You do. But so here's the thing: can you prove it?
Hold on. If a man leaves a sample on the woman, like Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, then she can prove it.
Yeah, but why would a female guard want to prove that she had sex
with
her?
No. A female inmate would want to have dirt on a male guard.
Absolutely. And when I was there, I was working the seg unit, and I had this one girl.
Or God forbid they get pregnant.
I know, right? And how do they get pregnant when they've been locked up for 5 years?
No, what I'm saying is it's a lot easier for a woman to get dirt on a male guard.
Not necessarily. I think in today's society, it's the ability to get dirt. I was brought up on the PREA charges by an inmate that was on he was on punitive segregation, which punitive means he's limited to, he can only have religious material and they can't have any commissary, and he's locked in his cell. Well, I saw he had a couple books, which means another officer gave him a book. And I don't play that game. If you're on punitive, that means you beat somebody up or you punched another guard or something. So this guy had a book. And so I called some officers to come, and I put him in handcuffs, walked him.
Is that considered contraband?
Yes. Yep. Contraband.
Okay.
At that time, that's contraband for him. Anything other than religious material. Right. So actually, people would ask me all the time, especially the white guys, can I have a Bible? And I said, I don't have one, but here, let me go get you one. I'll call some officers, got him out of the cell. I put him in the shower, and then the other officers cleared the cell out, and I'm standing there. He's in the shower, locked behind the shower. And then as he was walking there, one of the other officers says, hey, Bass, he had a book in his back. And I just look at him. I was like, man, why are you bringing stuff in the shower? Now I got to strip you out. He's like, oh, fuck you, faggot. Fuck you, faggot. And I was like, dude, no, let's strip out. Oh, fuck you. I was like, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. And he's like, fine, fuck you. You're just a fucking faggot, blah, blah, blah. And then he starts taking stuff out, and I see the book. Hand me the book. He hands me the book. And then I was like, okay, lift your sack, lift your armpit, lift your
Really?
sack.
Hold on. Why do they have to lift their sack?
Well, you could hide something in there, couldn't you?
Not a book. I mean, I'm not, mine is not big enough to, you have to have a serious sack in order to, I mean, a book?
A book? It's a baby book. No, but I wasn't looking for a book. I was looking for contraband.
The cow says moo.
Well, it's just like with anything. If you have an opportunity to do a search, you're going to do a search thorough. If you find something else during that search, then you find something else. You're not going to allow him to have drugs on him, so you're going to search it. Totally. So he lifts his sack. He's like, fuck you, faggot, fuck you. And then I say, okay, turn around, squat, cough, all that kind of stuff. Spread your ass. I've seen so many assholes and balls. It's just stupid, dude. It's so gross. It's like the worst thing ever. And for some reason, every inmate, when you're checking them, they always say that you like it. Oh, you like looking at my cock, don't you? Like, no. You like looking at my asshole, don't you, Bass? It's like, no, dude, I don't. I was like, this is the worst part of my job. And that's actually why I liked working at the female prison better. Because at the female prison, you couldn't do strip outs. You didn't have to.
You couldn't, I'm sorry, what did you say?
You couldn't do strip outs. You're a man. You can't violate the woman's rights by...
Even if there's a female guard present?
Yes, you can. But if there's a female guard present, why do you need to do it? You see what I mean? And it keeps yourself above reproach. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Yes, you can do it in dire situations.
So once again, how common is it that, without getting caught, but it's kind of known that inmates and guards...
It absolutely can happen, and it has, and it will. Absolutely. There's no way.
How common is it that the inmate uses that as blackmail?
I've seen blackmail happen both ways. Inmates and guards blackmailing inmates. Yeah, it's crazy. Because there's drugs, drugs being brought in. I saw one guard that is no longer there because he was just a little punk and he ended up getting fired for other reasons. But I was suspecting that the person was doing dealing drugs to the inmates, because drugs get in some way. And in a lot of ways, it's people that just get off the street, they have it in their ass, or guards make a deal. And this particular guy would get inmates put to segregation for offering them a bribe. Well, come to find out, the bribe was sent to the officers that, hey, I'll bring in stuff for this amount of money. And the inmate said no. And the guy's like, okay, this guy just bribed me, send him to the hole. So word against word. right? So basically, the inmate didn't offer him enough money. So
Where does the inmate get the money from?
dude, they do the Cash Apps shit.
You mean from the outside, basically.
No.
Being a handsome, well-built man, you're in the woman's prison. Don't they all offer you?
Mm-hmm. I've had a couple of them say, "Hey, can you eat my pussy?" It's like, no. There's one that was a native girl, very young and very attractive, and she was the sweetest thing ever. But it just gave you this sense of like, oh my god, she's been raped her whole life. She's been having to play a sexual deviant, or she has been playing the pawn to a sexual deviance. This is the only way she knows how to talk to a man, and she's talking to me like that, and it's just like. And I just said, you don't need to say that to me. I mean, I'm not judging you. I'm not going to be mean to you. If you need something, that's fine. I'll give you what you're due. Whatever you're owed in there. But yeah, it was sad. Is what that was.
Are female prisons less violent than male prisons?
They're just grosser. Females are just gross, man.
How so?
I don't. It's just females tend to resort to mental manipulation. Men just fight, So I mean, you've got that mental manipulation, and then you got the ones that fight too in the female prison. You also, when I was an officer there, I would never get out of camera view. Always. If you stop to look into a room when you're doing checks, you don't stop for long. You stop, you glance, you go. I mean, when they're in the shower and they're stark ass naked, you could watch them shower. You could sit there and watch them and, eat some popcorn. But no, you don't do that because they will charge you. They can charge you with, they can put charges against you. So, you just got to keep yourself on the up and up 100% of the time. And that was kind of, it made the job easy. It made it difficult because you want to be nice to people. And we all want to be nice to people. And people will really pull at your heartstrings.
When you say women's prisons are grosser, how are they grosser?
Smells. The segregation unit was horrible. It's just like non-showering. And it was just gross. And then just the way that the females would sexually extort themselves, it's just sick. I mean, if I were to get charges against me and they got dropped, if I got a bunch of them against me, they'll probably look at them differently. Like I'm getting away with something. Job. So I mean, it's just that kind of shit. You by being an asshole, you cause a lot of people, grief, and it goes both ways. By giving in and being nice, you cause a lot of grief. You can't be too nice. You can't be an asshole. Firm, fair, and consistent. And you just, if you give something to somebody, you got to give it to everybody. And it's like simple as a tray. Bass, they gave us 2 extra trays. Can I have it? No. Well, you're going to waste food? Yeah, I guess so. Why can't you give it to us? I got 50 people in here. Do you see 50 trays? No, there's 2. It's like, nope, get the fuck out of here. And am I wasting food? I don't like doing that. I shouldn't waste food. I should give it to somebody. But if I do, it'll bite me in the ass later. I'm not being fair.
How often have you caught weapons or drugs? And how?
I wasn't very good at getting finding the shanks. We would normally go and hit a mod a week or 2 mods every week or something and do a total shakedown, and where we put the inmates in a hallway and then look for weapons and drugs or whatever, all the contraband, and get them back into compliance. Compliance meaning they have 1 towel. Sometimes you go into a room and it has like 7 towels. It's like, dude, knock that shit off. We have a whole community in there that there's only a certain number of towels. So I mean that's the reason. It's not a big deal to have 7 towels, but it is when there's no towels for somebody, you know. So I mean, it's just the whole compliance thing. And me personally, I found some Suboxone strips, which is those little orange strips, you know, drugs. And then I found some. One time, a guy was ODing on something. He was running across the top of the mod. I was a responder. I responded. He ended up going into a cardiac arrest and had to do mouth to mouth. But I had to get on his ankles and hold him down because he's kicking and all this stuff. I'm holding his ankles down until we get the leg cuffs, the leg irons. And when I'm holding his ankle, I feel something. And then in the in his ankle sock, there was this little package of saran wrap that had the top of a syringe, a needle, and it had a broken off handcuff key. And yeah, that was about it. So I found a syringe and a broken off handcuff key. Well, the thing was,
What do you use the broken off handcuff key for?
So it's because you got the end that unlocks the handcuffs.
So he had a key for handcuffs?
Yeah.
How the hell did he get a key for handcuffs?
I don't know. It's a good question. He put it in his, what they call a prison purse. But so here's the thing. He had that on his ankle. Now think about it. What just happened? He just OD'd on something. When you OD on something, you go to the hospital. So I've got a guy that's in the hospital, and if he wasn't searched properly, he'd have a handcuff key. So that's getting charged for an escape attempt for that one. You know.
And it's not like they could come to you for help because nobody's. Then all of a sudden they become a rat.
One time, a kid owed somebody money, and he came up to me right before shift change. He said, "Hey, Bass, I want you to take me to the hole." I was like, "I'm not going to take you to the hole." He's like, "No, okay, I want to PC up." Basically, which means he wants to go into segregation, protective custody. I said, "Why?" He's like, "Dude, I owe people some stuff. I can't be here. I can't be here." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, I'm afraid for my life." I was like, "Okay, cool. Call the sergeant. Tell the sergeant what happened." And sergeant says, "Okay, yeah, at shift change, we'll go ahead and bring him down to booking, and we'll get him put into protective custody. Your unit's locked down right now, right?" I was like, "Yep." So I was like, "Okay, so everybody's locked down." So then I'm getting ready to go shift change, and the inmate is like, "Don't say I'm going to protective custody. Take me to the hole. Act like you're mad." I was like, "Oh, you want me to do this aggressive, huh?" He's like, "Yeah." So then I walked up to him, and then I got to be an actor again. "All right, motherfucker, turn around, cuff up." "What? Bass, you're fucked up. What the hell?" He like wakes me. I'm like, "Man, quit giving me that shit. Turn around, cuff up." So we played that. I walked him across. I was like, and right when I cuffed him up and I walked him across, I was like, "I'm going to yank you around. You can jerk away from me, but just don't totally jerk away." He's like, "All right." Because if somebody jerks away from you, you take them to the floor, you bury their head in the concrete. You don't want to. I didn't want to have to do that. So he's like playing. He's like pulling away. Oh. I was like, "Get out of here." We get outside the mod and everything. I was like, "Was that good?" He's like, "Thanks, man." And then I find out the next day is like he owed a bunch of money in commissary. So he wanted to make sure he didn't have to pay those people. So.
Now, it sounds like this was a better facility than some other prisons, because I'm sure some other prisons' life is a lot worse. They don't have a nice Sam Bass. They have mean, evil guys that just look the other way and let them get beat down and all that stuff. And don't get it sounds like these guys were getting relatively good treatment.
Oh, I think they get good treatment. I do.
But you've heard of other facilities, because I know from what I've heard.
Absolutely. And see, one of the things I think with the state of Alaska, the state of Alaska, they pay their officers well. We get paid very well up here, and I think the wage makes it so you're not susceptible to taking a bribe or taking an offer because you get a good pension, you get a good retirement, and you make a decent living. You just keep your.
But in some of these places where the prison guards are getting $25,000 a year.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
So the less the prison guard gets paid, the worse the facility is.
I think so. I don't want to be a felon. I don't want to be involved in that stuff. I don't want to be a guard either. It's just holy shit, man. It's a world inside of a world that I don't know if you want to be involved in that.